Good morning, good morning, good morning. So 2011 to 2016, Ford Focus and Fiesta, plus I'm hearing some complaints of 17 and 18 models as well. Basically, my experience with this, first of all, let me introduce myself. This is the Auto Boss channel. I know some other people have the same name. I'm going to have to kind of resituate it a little bit, add some stuff to it to make it more legit. I am a master certified diesel technician for many manufacturers, not just one. I work for International, I work for Ford, I've been through industrial training, AC, refrigeration, all kinds of stuff. So I've got a plethora of experience in, farm equipment, the whole 9 yards. What ended up happening is, in 2015, I bought a Ford Focus, a brand new one. It had like 7 miles on it. The dealer made me a great deal. I go pick it up. I thought, $19,000 was a good steal. Well, come to find out, you could buy them for a lot cheaper than that if you just searched around a little bit. But I was younger and stupid and just didn't care to do the work because I was in a desperate situation where I had a 2001 Eddie Bauer Edition Expedition where the spark plugs were literally blowing right out of the cylinder head and taking the threads with it. So I had to rethread the cylinder heads, put the repair kit and stuff in there, and it was just a nightmare at the time. So I went ahead and got the Focus because it was good on gas. And at the time I lived out in the country, so when you test drive that car out in the country, you don't pick up the little problems and stuff that's wrong with it right away. But as I got, used to the new job, the new work schedule and stuff like that, the more I would cut into overtime, the more I would be leaving work later in the evening. Instead of leaving at 3:30, I was leaving at 5 o'clock. Now I'm starting to hit that Chicago rush hour traffic, trying to get back out to the country. And when you're driving between 0 and 10 mile an hour, you can really feel the shudder in this car. And this car is supposed to be designed to where it works like a manual transmission, but it's controlled automatically with a computer. In the big truck world, we call it an XY shifter. Your left and right and your engagement of your gear that you want to be in. Anyway, they said it was a normal characteristic of that vehicle. So I left the dealer and said, okay, that's fine. It's starting to get worse, and it's starting to become more really shaky and stuff at times, and it almost feels like while I'm hitting the brake, it's still trying to pull into the vehicle in front of me. And it's almost acting like it's wanting to miss gears as it's trying to shift. And I take it back to the dealer again. They reflash the computer. Same thing. Doing the same thing over and over and over again. And as I drive it, the more miles I put on it, the more apparent it's becoming. Take it to the dealer a third time. They say, well, let us look at it. Let me see if anything's leaking. Because sometimes when this happens, you can see as it jerks and shakes, sometimes the seals and stuff will... I don't know if it's the input shaft of the transmission. I don't know if it's a clutch assembly, whatever it is. I don't know if it's just a BS excuse they gave me. But at the time, I said, okay, dude, just do what you got to do. Well, each time what they were doing is they were documenting it as something different. And I didn't find out until after I took the car and said, you know what, I'm not dealing with this right now. If I got to go upside down on this car, I'll go upside down on this car. I'm not going to be driving an unsafe car. And I took the car and traded it in on a 2016-2017 body style Chevy Malibu. Now, that's a completely different story. I even took that car to the dealer 8 times for little problems. ECM or power relays going out, the back window leaking, shifter assembly having to be replaced. There's a number of things within 10, 15,000 miles that, again, all these manufacturers have their problems, but when it comes to safety, that's a huge concern. And this transmission with the Ford was a huge concern. So I go upside down almost $7,000. And then, it's like a year and a half later, I get a letter in the mail saying that the consumers in general have sued Ford because of that 2011 to 2016 transmission, and they've won. And now Ford has to do something about it, whether it's replacing the clutch assembly, the transmission, reflashing the computer, giving money back towards something that's been done, whatever the situation may be. There was something that was supposed to be done. But because I traded the vehicle off, I wasn't part of any of that. And I asked the lawyer that was representing them out of California, representing the consumer out of California, I said, what do I do? He said, this is the main thing. Whenever you go to a dealership, whatever your concern is, you need to make sure that's documented the same way every single time for at least 3 times to be put in a category for lemon law in most states. And he said you have to give them an attempt to fix the same exact problem 3 times, worded the same way 3 times, because that's how they get out of it. And he says, what I want you to do is I want you to, focus on when you go to get it done, if it shutters between 20 and 30 mile an hour, you need to have on that paperwork here at the dealership to inspect for shutter between 20 and 30 mile an hour. Not doing inspection or reflashing computer or something like that. Whatever they do to fix the problem, that's up to them. But the concern, the reason it's there, needs to be documented the same way every single time, because that puts you in a category of coming back for the same problem instead of them being able to change their words a little bit, making it seem like it's something different. I had no idea. Well, now there's a new article out again, because people are experiencing it on the newer cars as well, and they're really coming down on Ford pretty hard on this. So I'm going to leave this article in the description box below, and I'm going to put it in the message section. I want you guys to check it out and let me know what you think. It basically, as a dealer mechanic, whenever people would bring their Focus or their Fiesta in, what I would do as a dealer mechanic for Ford is I would do the same thing. I would inspect for oil leaks. You know, I'd want to see, is it saturated underneath somewhere? Is that what's causing the engagement of the clutch issue? Is the software out of date? You know, maybe I can take it out and try to relearn the transmission strategy. The solenoid pack that goes on the side of the transmission would go out, and then all of a sudden the car wouldn't even start. And people would say, wait a second, I can't even put this thing in park, but I can't start it. It won't start in neutral, or it's in park, but it won't come out of park, and now it won't start because that computer assembly that's on the side of the transmission would just go out and the car just wouldn't start at all. So there were a number of things that would go on with this car, and I would have to replace it, go through a relearn strategy, and it was a nightmare. This transmission is a nightmare. It needs to be taken off of a new assembly line to put in vehicles, and they need to fix what's already out there. But that's just my experience as a Ford dealer tech, and this is me sharing with you guys on what to do to alleviate the problem in case you have it, and me just trying to look out for you. So I appreciate you. Thank you.